Was him?
Welcome everybody
Yo,
to
what's
BlizzCon.
up, Jeff?
We know
Hey, long
that
time
you
no
all
see,
want
man.
to hear more about Overwatch 2. Allow us to invite you behind the scenes to explain more of what we're doing and why.
Everybody, please hit record. Fingers crossed.
We lost Scott.
It's off to a good start.
This is going great.
We've been assembling one of the best teams that I have ever worked with.
I'm nervous.
And I'm so proud of the progress that we have made together.
We really liked the stylized drop down.
Imagine that it's coming forward, boom, boom, just starts to spin.
The scale and the scope of this game have meant that we've needed to grow substantially.
We have to.
Sorry. Let me start over.
Overall, I think we've done incredibly well as a team moving to work from home.
Oh, shadow play.
There have definitely been challenges, but the team is really putting everything we've got behind this game.
To me, it's the next big step in the Overwatch universe. New heroes, game modes, major story beats.
With competitive and PvE,
Pause,
I see Overwatch
champ.
2 as the Overwatch for all of my friends.
You know, we're always inspired by what story and franchise development does with their animated shorts. We really wanted to bring that cinematic experience into the game.
You can invest in your heroes and grow them over time.
Skill tree.
I'm super geeked out about Overwatch 2.
I can't wait for people to play this game. It just gets better and better.
There
Yo,
are some
same.
things that we just can't do without a sequel. So thank you so much for your patience so far, and I hope you enjoyed this behind-the-scenes look at Overwatch 2.
New maps and
All of our
roles.
players at home, they want to see one of the new maps that we've never talked about before.
Really, I can just talk about anything that I want to. So one of the maps that I'm most excited for in Overwatch 2 is our Rome map.
Oh my
We always
god.
want Overwatch to feel like this
Rome.
globe-trotting adventure for our players. So we're having a lot of fun coming up with the Overwatch version of
That's
Rome.
sick.
We wanted a very romantic, sort of this powerful
Yeah, I'm getting
feeling
goosebumps.
of old world architecture. One of the most exciting things for me is the early building of these maps, where we get to sit down together with key people from the environment team, level designers, effects groups. We'll spend some time talking about moments in the game that we really want to see, like the Colosseum or a grand view of the hills of Rome in the
Wait, it's Paris
backdrop. And then
2.0.
we'll go back and do a paint over, or we'll do a concept painting of certain things based on that.
We try to draw inspiration from as many different sources as possible. For example, one of our environment artists had just taken a trip to Rome, and he returned with thousands of pictures and was so excited to work on a map set in Italy.
Wait, this is
There's
sick.
a lot of ancient architecture in Rome that represents the empire that it used to be. So we brought some of that back. Some of the things that are destroyed in real life, we kind of rebuilt in a kind of an Overwatch style.
It's one of the most beautiful pieces of environment art that I think we've made for the entire game, and it just absolutely took my breath away.
This map is taking my breath away. Sheesh, that looks hella nice.
Can we reveal more maps?
Yo.
Yes, Scott. Scott, why don't you have the honor? Why don't you reveal, like, is there an artified, like, let's pick an artified one.
I know what map I want to talk
Japan.
about. It's the one that I just get super excited about.
Japan.
New York City. New York
Yo.
City.
Yo,
We're really
New
striving
York, let's
to make it as
go.
authentic as possible while still putting this Overwatch spin
Yo,
on it.
Manhattan,
There's a
hey,
lot
let's
of amazing
go.
buildings and architecture pieces.
The
that
Grand
just,
Central
especially for
Terminal,
artists, stands
man.
out a lot, and they usually use this kind of Art Deco style from
Yo, that's
the
where.
1920s, 1950s.
Yo, that's where I was born. Let's
We
go.
started in an area that's a little bit like the Village. There's some smaller shops there. There's a fire station, little pizza places, and things that people that are familiar with New York City will either recognize or maybe see the reference that we're trying to make with some of our different locations. It feels like something you haven't seen in other games before because it's uniquely Overwatch.
Well,
This
we
is
should
sick.
move on. Otherwise, we just have to reveal more maps.
More maps. I'm done
We're
with
talking
that.
about PvP, and You know, one thing that I think is really interesting about PvP in Overwatch 2 is some of the philosophical changes
balance
we're
changes.
making to the approach.
PvP feels different and new. We're upgrading our combat feel. The roles are playing differently. When it comes to all new maps, it's a pretty big departure from where we are on live right now. So I can't wait to see where we end up with it by the time we launch this thing.
We're also experimenting with the idea we call role passives, which are passive abilities that a hero can have based on what role they are. For example, currently in our internal builds, the tank heroes all have knockback reduction against them, and they also generate less ultimate charge for enemies that are shooting at them. Damage dealing heroes have a movement speed bonus, which is great for flanking around the map.
Kiting!
And healing
McCree's
heroes,
Bane.
support heroes have automatic healing that kicks in after
Wait,
they
that's
haven't taken
huge
damage
for
a
his
while, very
scan.
similar to Mercy's passive, but a little bit of a lower rate.
One of the more shocking changes that
That's
we've
really
been
good for McCree, by the way,
exploring in
guys.
Overwatch 2 PvP
That's really good
is
for
a change to
McCree.
the tank role entirely. That's applied to all of the tanks. We want to try to make them more toe-to-toe brawlers.
That's a McCree buff,
and
a really,
less
really big one.
characters that just stand back and protect other people.
So, for example, for Reinhardt, we've given him 2 charges of Fire Strike, so he can throw Fire Strikes a lot more aggressively. And
That's what I mentioned.
Also, his charge, he's able to cancel it now, and you can steer it more aggressively, so you can, you know, not quite turn a corner, but you can definitely more accurately pin targets. And because you can cancel it, it allows you to use it much more aggressively and, you know, really go after those key targets without feeling
It's
like
the
you're gonna
buffs we've all been
sacrifice,
mentioning.
you know, all of your positioning, everything to get there. He's almost more terrifying now with this, be able to unleash his full arsenal more often than kind of just being the guy with a shield.
The changes to Reinhardt that we're trying, and they might not shift, that's just the reality, but the changes that we're trying right now are to try to embrace more of that instinct that players have when they want to play a big burly character that looks aggressive and feels like it should be aggressive.
Huge buffs, man. Oh my god.
Shortly after BlizzCon, we spun up this group, our combat field group, to really just work on what happens when a player holds the trigger.
When we
Oh
first
my
started working
god.
on Overwatch, you know, we spent quite a bit of time working on gunfire sounds and just general combat feel to make it feel really awesome. We're revisiting pretty much everything. Nothing's off the table, so we're looking at even kind of small things such as quick melee attacks that every hero has. So they have kind of new audio pass and a new kind of feel and visual effect music things.
Wait, where's his
One
eyes?
of the bigger efforts we're undertaking for Overwatch 2 is what we're calling our Weapon 2.0 Sound Pass. What this is a big overhaul to the weapon systems in the game. That means the way the gun feels in your hands. You could feel the ammo running out as you're getting lower on the clip. We've really tried to amplify
McCree,
those
McCree
sounds
dink, McCree
to
dink.
better encapsulate the gameplay and the gunplay that comes with
I want to hear the
Overwatch
dink.
2. Another key for the weapons was getting
Oh
them to
my
feel like they're in
God.
an
Wait, I wanna hear that
environment. This meant
again.
working with convolution reverb. It's a
Yo,
new
I
system
wanna hear that
we've
again.
implemented into Overwatch.
Yo,
It's
that was
a way that we
heat.
can capture the
That
acoustics of an
dink.
environment and transport it onto the sounds that we're using. So we went and captured tales of guns in different environments through our weapon shoots.
Yo,
And
this
then we've
is
cut them
sick.
and applied it so that we can support a lot more environments. Now we're supporting outdoor, urban outdoor, warehouse tales, tight tunnels, small rooms.
Yo, this is
And it
sick.
gives a lot more presence to the weapons and the way
Oh
that they
my
react. in the
god.
world.
The shooter genre has evolved a lot since
Alright,
Overwatch
yo.
1 came out.
I'll-
On top of that, I
I'll
think we
still
really
be
want
playing
to push
Overwatch.
the visceral nature of how we do
Dude,
combat.
that's sick.
So we
What the
focused a lot, not just on the wonderful sound effects,
Dude, the
but also
details.
with how the gun moves as you shoot. You know, so you can really feel every single shot leaving the chamber. And there's a lot of subtle little tweaks we have to do on the gameplay engineering side to make that feel really visceral. Everything from making sure that the camera shakes are crisp, making sure that if you get shot, you know exactly these tight indicators show up on the outside of your reticle. All these things play into making the game feel not just tight and responsive, but also modern and up to date. And the camera shake gives that extra bite to
Alright,
every
yo,
single shot
chat,
out of
we're
the
gonna be
chamber.
playing
It
Overwatch
makes him feel really
until
great.
Overwatch 2 comes out.
You guys
Oh
got
my
a sneak
god.
peek of Sojourn from last BlizzCon. She's been under development for quite a while, and she's actually quickly at this point become a lot of people's favorites.
It's projectile. Wait.
When we look back at Overwatch when it was originally
yeah, she's projectile.
created, there was a lot of heroes that were made from a gameplay standpoint, kind of
She's
surrounding
projectile.
a weapon type. For example, Pharah was based on a rocket launcher hero. Widowmaker is clearly like kind of the sniper. We thought there was a weapon that was kind of missing that would be a lot of fun to play with, and that's a railgun.
Did you hear that?
It's so much fun in the playtest to have this really powerful shot that can,
Sojourn is all projectile.
If you really are accurate with it, and she's all about that aim skill. So if you got that aim skill, you'll love her.
Sojourn main?
We're still exploring new game modes, and we're also reevaluating older game modes that people are more critical of. We're of the mindset maybe 2CP doesn't exist in Overwatch 2, and maybe there's a new cool game mode that replaces it. We really want Overwatch 2 to feel like the next evolution, a true sequel to the first game, not an add-on. It's not a small part. It's not an extension of the original game. This is an evolution and a replacement to the original game.
Replacement?
And I think it's exciting.
2CP is gone.
Hero missions are probably one of the things that's the hardest to wrap your head around if you've never played one of them.
Yo, PvE, let's go. That's actually pretty sick.
The goal around hero missions is for these to be this co-op PvE experience.
Wait, why are you so
tiny?
tiny?
I only play competitive mode. Like, I'm all about that competition. And I have friends that they don't want to do that at all. So I'm really looking forward to a game that I can play hours and hours with my friends who aren't in competitive. And it's also something that I'm interested in.
Hero missions are the content that people are playing as they are leveling up their heroes. And so for a system like this to really sing, you need a
Oh my
lot
god, Ash's
of
new
missions.
sound sounds...
We don't want players to feel like they're just in this grind to get to the top.
And there's a lot of really, really good back-end technology that we're exploring so that the heroes are constantly bringing their personality and some light story to these hero missions as well.
The goal is to make as many as possible, hundreds of hero missions. We've explored a lot of different ways of getting to that much content. Still have like different sets of enemy units that people will be fighting against, and there's different hero mission types. At the same time, hero missions can take place in all of the multiplayer maps that we've done, and we're also adding new spaces onto some of these maps.
It's a huge challenge for the art team. We take maps that a lot of people love and recognize, and we have to add a lot more art and level design to it.
In this one hero mission playtest, we came up to an area in Kings Row that usually has a gate on it. Suddenly that gate opened and I saw a new area of Kings Row that I had never seen before.
You may be playing
Map
Halo
expansion,
game type,
yo, Pog.
and Halo may decide to take this new route instead of going the usual route.
That was really, really cool. It was like this eye-opening special moment.
Lan, our lead tech artist on the environment side, very early on her own free time, made a prototype of a sandstorm on the Temple of Anubis.
What?
And at the time, we didn't know what we wanted to do with that, but it looked awesome.
We looked at it and went, oh my God, we absolutely have to do this.
So we put some new technology in place that allows us to do this dynamically. You
Oh, dude, I'm about to fucking lose it, dude. All these changes are actually insane.
Sandstorm or heavy weather would show up.
It made the world just feel so much more alive.
I'd play PvE for that, man. I'd play
There's a
PvE just
sunset,
for that visual.
Daytime, nighttime, but depending on where you are in the world, these look different. California or Hollywood would have what we call a California sun. In New Bonnie, there's a great African sun that happens there. You start to get a sense of space and mood. This is what really brings the levels to life.
For me, the dynamic world's exciting. Just seeing these dramatic landscapes, the wind and the atmosphere blowing by. It's a much more cinematic
I like the
experience
gradient
for the player.
that they've been doing.
You look at a map.
Dude, it looks
it's
so
nighttime
nice.
in Necropolis, or there's a sandstorm in Necropolis. Players can
my
make some
God.
comp choices based on knowing this information.
Uplink.
Characters like Hanzo or Widowmaker start to be a little more valuable because they have abilities that allow them to see through.
I would probably play
the sand more
PvE.
clearly.
This is sick. There's so many details.
Talk about any of the types of objectives in hero missions. For example, we have Gather and Return, where you're trying to go and grab these different canisters to kind of safeguard them so they don't go off and affect the population in a negative way. It creates this really cool tension in the world where, on the one hand, you're trying to split up and go grab all these canisters to be as efficient as possible, but at the same time, now you're having these sort of special enemy units spawn that are really difficult, and if you kind of get caught by yourself, it turns into a pretty bad situation really quickly, and it feels extremely cooperative and like a very different way to interact with the Overwatch universe.
We're experimenting with all sorts of ideas, and just internally we have names like Wall of Death, Scavenger Hunt, and Kill Quest, and all these new mechanics and enemies for people to experience. Players will be able to jump in night after night, play different hero missions, and then work through the progression system, leveling up their heroes.
Oh, this is Pog. What do you mean? I fucking love PvE, dude.
At BlizzCon in 2019, we started to talk about progression, and we showed
Yo, we love
very
PvE.
early
Come on, chat.
version
Say it with
of
me.
our
We love
talent
PvE.
system, which I think was really cool. We had that one talent where like Meg became the rolling snowball, which was a big hit. We've really blown that system out.
I'm real excited about talents. You can play the same hero in so many different ways. Now with the skill tree, you can have fun every night doing different things and kind of experimenting.
Yo, this is...
Yeah, the talent system
actually like
is
this
really
a lot.
deep
Skill tree
and
for
rich,
PvE.
and every single hero has
That's pretty cool.
different trees. You might open up 76's tree, and as you're leveling and picking new talents, you're starting to feel your hero change. We've had some pretty hilarious versions of the healing one where his biotic field travels with him. It also repulses enemies. We called it the snowplow build, where 76 is like running through spaces, pushing enemies away from them.
Designing these is super fun because it's like we get to break all the rules that we've sort of established for ourselves, and we get to really take the gloves off and do crazy things like Junkrat can dual wield grenade launchers, and we've had Mercy be able to
double Mccree?
area effect
Yo,
res the
come
whole
on,
team
please.
at once at super long range through
Yo, double
walls.
Mccree?
It's been a ton of fun, kind of like mad scientists making all this stuff.
You're all used to using these kind of kinetic weapons,
Double
like
Mccree
Soldier 76's
guns, please?
rifle, or fire attack like what
Two revolvers?
Flame Strike does. As soon as you start to mutate these things with talents, all of a sudden maybe you're doing freeze damage or electrical
Akimbo
damage.
Mccree?
But it gives
Yeah.
the animators a bunch of crazy opportunities. You know, the animations are going to change to show them freezing and shattering. And if you shock someone with a lightning attack, they can shake in place and stun, maybe chain to other enemies. All sorts of stuff to make you feel like you're controlling the battlefield.
Oh,
in
it's
novel
like
ways.
wait,
As a
guys,
huge
it's
RPG
literally
nerd
like
myself,
like
the
Path
first
of
time I
Exile
opened up the
type
talent
of
tree
style.
systems, it was like, oh my gosh,
talent
this
tree.
is speaking my love language. Like, I just want to
like
plan,
Path of
and I
Exile.
want to see like where do I want to invest, and how am I going to play this character?
Yes, it's so great. And you start at the bottom of the tree. Like,
Yes,
oh my,
exactly.
Like Tracer gets to do what?
Yeah.
And then you start working and kind of planning how you're going to get down there. It's like, it's so fun.
There's a lot of units Aaron is talking about. Lots of different units, lots of different types. They serve different purposes. You do different things to them. It's really going to help a lot of us find the fun and make sure that Overwatch
Yeah, how
2
come like
is a blast.
you're not smiling at
One
all?
of those sets of enemies is what we internally call objective units.
They're not smiling.
And they're typically units that don't even attack players. The simplest version would be something like the Breacher.
It's two legs with this huge bomb on its back. It was built to do one thing: slowly and methodically march towards its objective, and then it transforms, and the bomb opens up like a flower. It starts spinning and charging up, and you hear this awesome sound, and you know you have a little bit of time before it's going to explode, and you have to take it out.
Yo, he's hinting. Oh,
We have units like
gotta break it.
slicers, which you guys have seen before. They're little, we call them the chickens, like little chicken sometimes. They run really fast. We have a guy we're experimenting with right now who flies and drops these bombs that create these kind of ever-expanding smoke fields that you have to escape from because they're super deadly. So you really get to use your mobility options to kind of escape that.
There's things like the Polar. You could be moving through these
Oh my
darker
god, she's a
alleys,
baddie.
and
What
as soon
the
as you
hell?
hear that Polar
Holy.
spawn, it suddenly becomes like really spooky.
Oh my
and kind
god,
of
I
scary.
lost.
This very
That
tall,
design.
elegant-looking character that's blindfolded. 3 orbs that circle around her as her eyes. And we basically spun those orbs around her head as a big tell, launched them at the player, and then it activates this tractor beam, and it's bringing you in, and then you get this awesome anticipation of the hair opening up so you know what's about to happen.
Oh my.
One thing we've just recently been experimenting with is this idea
she could do that to me
of
any
elite
day,
units. We didn't want the elite units to feel like they're just, oh, this guy's got double health and double damage. We want to make sure the elite units feel like they have different behaviors and have different attacks. So, for example, an Omnic Grunt, normally he just he fires his gun, he dies pretty simply. If you fight elite grunts, his weapon fires in a burst fire pattern. It's very deadly if you're close. And if you manage to take them out, they don't just die right away. They instead can crawl on the ground towards you, and you try to back away because if they get to you, they can explode.
Artillery at BlizzCon. We're all just staring at this, and we're like, what are we gonna do to level this up? We decided on spinning barrel version. Just did this really nice kickback. The tip of the barrel opens up when it's about to fire and shifts into place, and boom!
It's really amazing to be fighting an artillery.
This doesn't feel like Overwatch.
And you can see the guns on the side, and as you're shooting the guns, they're actually visibly taking damage, and then
Is
you
it
can
just
blow
me,
them
chat?
off, and it reacts.
This
and
doesn't feel like
doubles to the
Overwatch.
side, and it really makes you feel like you're there, and it's super fun.
In a lot of the stuff we've showed so far, you're fighting null sector. These
Feels
are
like a different
evil killing
game.
machines intent on marching you down. The way you're going to stop them is by shooting them, and we want to make sure that feels responsive and visceral. Really making sure that when they take a hit,
What's up,
it
Psycho?
feels like their
Been a
whole
long time
body
no
is
see, man.
punched, almost like hit by a truck. That's what really
doesn't
sells
look like
this
Overwatch.
fantasy that you're playing these superheroes.
But it's good.
One of the cool pieces of technology that we created was what we call chain hit reactions. Oftentimes, you'll find null sector bunched up, marching maybe a half a dozen units abreast. You expect
Ooh,
if you
that
shoot
Mccree
one,
sound.
they're going to knock into their buddies.
Oh, yes.
So we make that happen.
Shoot
Turns
the
out
head.
it's really fun too.
Bro, that dink sound.
Maybe we'll share some of those new looks today, which would be cool.
We're going to reveal Mccree's new look for Overwatch 2 as well as Pharah, and we're really excited
Mccree
to
new
show off
look.
some of our first villains with Reaper and Widowmaker. With Mccree, we took a couple different approaches. He's got this classic cowboy look that it's really hard to mess with because if you try to make him too sophisticated or too techy, it might not feel right for the character. But as a concept artist, you always want to change things around and try different shapes and
that
silhouettes.
looks.
So we did identify Red Serape as the main thing
that
for
jacket,
McCree.
man.
We also tried a couple different things with McCree's cowboy hat. We didn't really want to mess with that too much because that's a very iconic part of him. So that's another piece that we kept. We tried some retro cowboy looks that mixed in some tech here and
New
there.
McCree skins.
Some that were a little bit more techy than others. Some that were a little bit more classic cowboy.
Yo, I like
We
the
gave him
modern
a little
look.
bit of a longer beard, and it really gives him a nice
Oh
like a more
god,
ancient
bro.
look.
That
What's
cape
different
looks
about Pharah
sick.
than some of our other heroes is Pharah's completely covered in armor. We didn't want to change her silhouette too much. It was more about experimenting on
Yo,
different
McCree
colors.
looks sick.
So it felt really appropriate for her to be
Holy
the one
shit.
to harken back to those original Overwatch
Farah
colors
looked like she didn't
of
really
white and
change
blue.
much.
One of the things that we
Maybe
wanted
I
to
don't play her
update
enough.
on Pharah was her visor. Instead of being completely
Yo,
opaque
Cree.
and reflective, we tried a little bit more of a transparent approach, and being able to see through it a little bit now allows us to see some more of her emotions.
McCree's a badass
Reaper was
motherfucker
actually
now.
the ones I was very excited to work on
Oh,
because
wait,
I could
Reaper
see a
looks
lot of
sick.
potential in how we can integrate his cloak and his cowl and his armor, and how we can make all those shapes really sing within that classic, Reaper silhouette. We tried a couple takes with the first pass, like completely silver arms, more layers to his jacket. Reaper's mask is obviously
Dude,
pretty
he looks
sacred to us,
edgy.
but the thing you'll notice immediately is that it's now
Sheesh.
completely silver. Instead of the bone white, he's got this like almost like deadly edgy silver that just gives him that classic Reaper
Yo,
look.
very, very
With
edgy.
Widowmaker, we started with the IDA stage,
Polish champ?
exploring a breadth of ideas.
Yo,
we
the
tried
second
things
one, man.
like a more insectoid approach, treasure hunter. One of them made her feel like a classic Bond villain, so we kind of steered it back towards one of the more cyberpunk-looking ones, almost like a futuristic femme fatale, which is basically what Widowmaker is, but she even feels more upgraded. So I'm super glad that we went down this route. We played with different hairstyles too. Widowmaker has the really long ponytail that's really key part of her look. And we really liked the hairstyle on one of the designs that was more of a parade. And
I'm not
really
looking at what you think I'm
interesting
looking at.
Look that also preserves Widowmaker's original silhouette with that long ponytail. It's been super exciting working on the new looks for Overwatch 2, and it's just been so inspiring to watch
Yo,
the team
Mccree
try
looks
things that we've never
sick.
tried before, and I just can't wait to show off more in the future.
Overwatch 2 is probably the largest opportunity we've had since the inception of the franchise to really expand what Overwatch even means to our players. In 0 Hour, we saw that some of the heroes got back together, but we're also seeing that there seems to be a second huge Omnic uprising. We're going to learn who's behind that uprising, why that's happening.
It's the other Zen.
How globally spread is it?
The story and franchise development group,
It's the
they
other
were really
Zenyatta.
the torchbearers of what the big story is that we were going to tell. For this
Sojourn.
game.
Wait.
We have a lot of interaction with them. They're working on in-game cinematic intros and outros for every one of our story missions.
It's been really great to see this collaboration grow and develop. The story is just a little more integrated into our missions than it ever really has been before. All the available heroes get dialogue for a given mission. We have NPCs. We have multiple hero choices.
We have all sorts of events that are happening that are driving players to interact with each other or parts of the environment or other characters.
The world of Overwatch is this bright, shiny future. So
Toronto.
how do you take that bright, shiny future and create
Anyone from
conflict
Toronto
it?
in the chat?
How dark can the world of Overwatch go?
The different challenges that these characters are going to have to overcome in Overwatch 2 are things that they haven't ever dealt with before or dealt with on this scale. So what we had to do was literally strip it down to this bare bones of where are these characters in their lives. Overwatch has been disbanded, and now there's a situation where the world's in trouble again, and the world needs the heroes again, but they're not allowed to be doing what they were supposed to be doing.
We started to book these off-site locations so we could brainstorm over and over different versions of what the Overwatch 2 story campaign could be.
And we basically had these whiteboards that we were carting around everywhere.
Well, what if we moved Rio to the end and they'd physically grab it off the wall and stick it on the end?
And we did this for a while, until we all felt that it was pretty close to what we wanted.
Then we could send it to our writers' rooms. The writers' rooms then had a much clearer direction of where we wanted this process to go.
Ultimately, we come up with something that we think is right for the game. And then we pitch it back to the game team, and they point out everything that we missed.
And that allows us to actually back up and go and make it right and make it better.
Because the scale of this story is so huge, it takes place over the whole world, basically. It just requires a constant iteration, constant refinement to make the story as best as we can make it.
From writing, we go to storyboards. The storyboards get crafted with the edit. From there, it'll go to a previs department where they'll start to flesh it out in 3D. Once we've kind of figured out our camera work and our cinematography, that'll then go to the animation department. And then we end up going right into the game engine.
When you get into the game, it has to mesh and feel the exact same way and blend together.
We really are also trying to get the music to be equally as consistent from in-game cinematics straight through to the mission. Adam Burgess, our lead composer, has been working with the IGC team, with the game team, developing themes for all of the heroes, all of the locations.
As the cinematic director, whatever we're crafting should never override the gameplay. We want to make sure that the player's experience
Sojourn bad or not
gameplay is seamless and it feels like a completely immersive experience.
The engineers, we have to find a way to actually make that come to fruition. The choreo tool is a tool that allows people to coordinate different events to happen at the same time. Like in Rio, if you played our demo, one of the buildings explodes. And so that kind of event needs to happen as you're running by, and you need to have it timed, because if it blows up too early, then you don't see it. It allows story moments in missions that interact with the environment, that interact with our characters.
The new tech, the new abilities that we have now are allowing us to push our
There
storytelling
is so much
farther
content
than we could have previously.
What's also really powerful about choreo is that, if somebody has an idea, they can mock things up really quickly.
We got to show the Widowmaker making this awesome introduction. Casey was able to quickly put a really rough prototype in choreo. And Philip would come in and on the fly, he's making quick changes. They play tested something that would normally take weeks. It was done in like a matter of days.
Each story mission has its own custom
new maps
built for it. And these maps are absolutely gigantic.
India is one of our biggest maps, and it's a fun map because it has a few story beats that we've taken from recent comics and characters in the game.
We've written a history for each city so that the cities feel lived.
Dude, there's so many maps.
That informs the artists so that they know what it is.
So many new maps.
Gothenburg was our chance to show Torbjorn's workshop. We created a space that kind of fits his height. So there's, step ladders and scalable tables. We designed the space as if we were a torp, Molten steel is pouring out of walls. It's pretty epic when you walk into it. Toronto was under siege by Null Sector when the players arrive here. There's a dynamic snowstorm. So as you make your way through the level, the snow is slowly building up. Suddenly by the end, the characters are caught in this gigantic snowstorm and they must fight their way through.
In Overwatch 2, we want to give you choice to be able to play this character or that character. So we're designing a lot of systems around how their relationships develop over the course of the story missions in the campaign.
Sojourn is...
We have a cast
it's actually hella
of
cute.
Many characters, all on screen, all at the same time. And it's fantastic to actually see them all interacting and working together in ways that we've never actually seen. We've always thought about it and hoped for it, but now it's actually happening.
It actually requires us to have a whole new branching dialogue system. If you happen to have Genji and Mercy in the second mission of the game, you might get different dialogue that's about their relationship.
Our voice actors bring the characters to life in ways that everybody has fallen in love with, from inside Blizzard to the fans. Just to hear this collection of actors all together, all interacting, has been a real treat.
Hammer down!
I wish people could see how many people are involved when it comes to something like telling the story of Overwatch. It doesn't just come from a singular person. It comes from a group, and it's a really talented, fun group that all works together.
We've been developing what we hope is one of the best stories ever. There's some key story moments that I'm really excited about, and I really can't wait to see how people react to it.
We've been talking about the game, about this universe. I know you all love it so much.
Right now, we can sit down and have a night of Overwatch 2.
I think I might play Sojourn, boys.
A really fun experience.
Sojourn is the play.
I think we need some more time till we can say it's perfectly polished in the way that we want it.
This is the con, boys. It's the
incredible
butt.
strides since we first announced this and showed it to the community at BlizzCon in 2019.
The thing that I'm most excited about is that moment when we
Release it
hand the
tomorrow.
game over to the players.
We want to create something that really moves people, really touches people.
Did you guys see that?
That's why we do it. We create the game because we want it to become
Did you guys
part
see what
of
I
your life
saw?
and for you to experience it.
For Overwatch 2, we're up in the bar.
It's kind of 5 games in one. It's a huge undertaking.
The new tech and the new aesthetics for the new looks bring you closer to the characters that you love, and we're just getting started.
The fidelity of the gameplay experience is much richer.
We are making cinematics that push the boundary of what we can do to tell stories.
We want this dynamic world. We want things to feel alive.
I'm really looking forward to being able to expand the world of Overwatch for our players.
We're really trying to tell this epic story.
In order to make a game great, it takes time, energy, collaboration.
We have just an incredibly professional team of designers and artists and engineers.
We just love bringing this world to you guys. So many cool characters. It's just a blast working on it.
Our goal is for Overwatch 2 to be the worthy successor to the first game, to be the next evolution, and to be a true sequel.
We have big plans, so thank you for sticking with us.
We're going to cross the finish line, and I know
All right,
it's gonna
chat,
be
here
awesome.
comes 2024.
I hope people just end up loving playing it over and over.
Or 2022.
That's what we want to try and capture. I'm jumping in. I'm playing. Let's go.
Chat, guess the year. Guess the years. Oh, 2021. Hey, 2021. Oh. Wait, so release date? Was it this year? Champ didn't give us the date, did they? Dude, I mean, don't get me wrong, guys.
So
I'm
here we
super
are
fucking
now
excited.
With Voices of Overwatch. And on top of that, I want to tell you something else because I feel like I haven't talked about this.